Welcome to Cambridge Inside Out, the most exciting TV on TV.
Yeah, some people think that actually. They say, "Oh, I saw you."
They're
on
crazy.
there." Yeah, I know. Right.
So,
Judy Nathans.
I'm Robert Winters,
Yeah.
and I'm crazy.
No, you're crazy to be following all this and
It's
being.
true. That's true.
Anyway,
Right.
I will just follow your lead because there's just so much.
All right. So maybe the first thing that you was just talking about a little bit. Actually, this was almost like peace and harmony up at Sullivan
Peace
Chamber
and
at City Hall.
When I didn't notice any of that.
No, compared to last week.
Oh.
Last week when they had the
190 people for Sullivan Courthouse.
right, the
yeah.
1,400 or
Yeah,
1,800
yeah,
page
right.
agenda and
Oh,
the
right,
biggest issues ever to hit mankind.
Yeah.
And how many? I don't even remember how many people speaking
I
during
said
public comment.
190.
190 was
Something
it?
like that. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty wacky, and interestingly,
Yeah.
last week they actually didn't really vote on much of anything because the public
No,
comment
things
took so
had to
long
be
and-
continued. The courthouse thing had to be
Right, they
parking
tabled the
garage.
overlay,
Yeah.
so that'll
Right.
show up again after
Yeah.
the election. Then there was
Yeah.
the
Or
the courthouse that got punted till
well,
tomorrow.
the parking garage.
Well, that's right. As
It's
some
really
of
the parking garage.
as some of the
But-
people who claim
Yeah.
this isn't really about us trying to block the courthouse development. This is really just about the parking garage.
yeah,
Ha ha.
sure.
But anyway, the disposition of 420 parking spaces in the First Street garage.
And that's continued till tomorrow?
till
Well,
tomorrow.
we're talking today. We didn't give the date. Today is September 17th.
Today is September 17th.
So it's tomorrow at the 18th. I think it's at 3.
Right, I think that one's at 3, and then there's one a
Televised,
little
yeah.
bit later on, which is the
No, there's one at 12 and one at 3.
Oh, that's right. So which
the
is the one at
cannabis
12?
one's at 3 maybe.
That's right. So it's
12 o'clock, is it? One or
is-
the other. It's
okay.
going to be
I've got
prime
it down
time
here somewhere.
for the city council
Right,
tomorrow.
but so because they get to go back to back on two of
Yeah.
the most contentious
Issues
issues
it's crazy.
of the day.
I can't remember a time that it was this.
It's a little bit. It does remind me a little bit back
Yeah.
in the rent control days. If there was like some big proposal
good point.
and
I
then
didn't follow it as much.
passions
Sure.
really got going.
Yeah. Right.
In some ways, I have to say this is actually uglier.
It is.
In many ways, during the rent
It
control
is.
days, you sort of knew who all the players were.
Yeah, it was
And
sort
it-
of straightforward.
Yeah, and
Now
it was
it's
sort of
like
oh, hi, I'm with the small property owners, and hi, I'm with the Cambridge
Yeah.
Tenants Union, and
It was
and
simpler.
and they kind of knew each other. So
you know what? It was like plastic bag or paper, and now you've got all these different kinds of to say.
Yeah,
it's like it's not simple anymore.
No, it's not simple.
There's so many players.
So they still have to make. I think they will take a vote tomorrow. At least that was the plan on the.
Now, which one are we
disposition of the
talking
park.
about?
This is-
Cannabis or the parking?
They may vote on, but well,
Okay.
they can't ordain anything having to do with cannabis at an
Right.
ordinance committee meeting.
No.
But the thing is that the 12 o'clock, if I got that right,
Yeah.
is actually a
Looks
city
like that.
council hearing
Yeah.
that was scheduled specifically for the purpose of doing this disposition.
Continuing discussion. No public
was,
comment. That's over.
It was done as part of a hearing
It was
and
recessed,
action
right, at-
during last week's meeting. So now it's
Right,
continued.
like
so
11 o'clock.
so
at
they could
night,
very
yeah.
well do the vote.
Right. So that'll
and
be
I honestly
interesting.
I don't really know where the votes are, but and it's
Well, there really wasn't any discussion last week, so
Right.
this will be the full
Yeah.
discussion.
the rhetoric is all over the map. Alarmism, and then people accusing people of alarmism, and people who just want to stop the courthouse project, and people who are just talking about I don't want to lose my parking in the garage.
Yeah.
And there's a
People are
there's-
paid
there's-
off by the
Oh
developers.
yeah, the accusations are really flying.
It's really bad.
Most of the accusations are absolutely off base, by the way. I don't think anybody's doing anything that's particularly
Well, it's got neighbor against
nefarious.
neighbor, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah. But
You
I
know,
don't know that there was
yeah.
any particular way around that. One of the things, and actually there were 3 issues I think I want to mention about this. Actually, let me just throw the one is that
Are we still talking about the parking
yeah, it
garage?
seems like we have a new way of doing civics and politics
really?
in Cambridge. Okay, so
a new way.
leading up to this vote that didn't happen because of the tabling of
Yeah.
the overlay, right?
Right.
So there was this, citywide mailing from
Oh,
the
I heard
Small
about this.
Pro-
I didn't get
Property
it because I don't live in
Association.
a house anymore.
Yeah, I scanned these and
Okay.
so I have a few copies.
Oh,
I
you
make
do?
copies
This was
of
sent
this one.
out, mailed out?
These were mailed out citywide. It was, and some people were saying like, well, that's crazy. Why do we want to do that? You know.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it was a small property owner who sent it out, and with it came
Yeah.
an envelope and a membership drive. So
Oh, they're now.
not to be
Huh.
too cynical about this, they are actually using this to do basically drum up memberships.
Which they never had before, did they?
Oh, they've always had
But
memberships.
not, is it paid or just free?
In fact, the author of this, I believe,
Skip,
basically helps to support himself with those memberships. So,
Geez, you're making all kinds of accusations here.
well,
Robert.
I've looked at the records.
Oh, are they?
But the thing is that it seems to be sort of a new way of doing business. Rather than just going up and chatting up your counselors,
We form
and
a
calling up your
group,
friends
yeah.
and whatever, and having a united front. Now it's the day, we live in the day of the mass mailing, prior to a vote. So this was the one prior to the overlay. I don't know that this was citywide, I only have a piece of it, but there was also
I haven't seen any of this.
there was also a really big one that was sent out by the Leggett McCall folks about the parking garage disposition, trying to get people to
So this is just to
drum up
who?
and support it.
Well, I'm not getting it anymore because I live
This
in
was
a...
this was mailed to my address.
See, all these things are going to properties that are small properties that are probably
I mean,
homeowners.
The smart move is you do targeted mailings if you don't want
Yeah,
to
because those are the people that
you
show
wanna
up at
break the
things,
bank.
not apartment complexes or people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the cannabis issue,
I did get
which
that.
we talked about that.
Now I did get
apparently, somebody's bankrolling this because it ain't Richard Harding dipping into his
No, but the
savings
fact is, I
account.
did get that, and I live in a mixed
Right.
income community now. So
Right. So
at
there's
least
this
they're
very kind
sending it
of
to
racially
people.
charged card about. I can't help but call it racially charged because
Well,
if
they
you choose to
choose- yeah.
use the thing arguing for, the
Equity.
equity applicants for to support a particular amendment which is currently before the council that they will no doubt talk about tomorrow. They've chosen the URL Race Cambridge, making it clear this is absolutely .org. Like this is all about race. There's the rhetoric is really getting just
And
wild and
accusing
crazy.
Denise Simmons, who's African American, of a
The
slave amendment.
anti-equity slave amendment.
And
right?
I wish I had read hers, but you've
Yeah.
read hers?
I did, but I'm not.
What did she say
Sure.
that they're so against?
I don't know that it's so much that as much as that they have
Oh.
one particular thing that they want, and
Well,
they're-
they want the 2-year
and
moratorium.
things are getting inflammatory. By the way, the hearing, which is I think it's 5:30 hearing about, or no, 3
No,
something
it's
hearing.
3 o'clock.
That's right.
Or is
which
it
is one on
11 o'clock?
cannabis.
Didn't they complain? Wait a minute.
We may
There's
have
an
to look
11
this
o'clock
up.
because they complain that who's going to show up at that? I think that's on Thursday.
No.
No?
I
right,
mean,
then
I hope I don't
Please
get this
look at
all
your
wrong
schedule
here.
or look at.
To the best of my knowledge
Okay.
here, it's actually, you're right, 11 a.m.
Okay, there
Cannabis
is-
business permitting ordinance
right.
tomorrow,
12 o'clock is
September
today.
18th.
3 o'clock
And then
is
3 o'clock,
is
city
this-
council convene
The
for
parking
dealing with
garage.
the parking
Okay,
garage.
so 11,
But-
and they're both televised.
Yeah, but the thing I find noteworthy about how is
Yeah.
now is these mass mailings are going out to sort
Well,
of
that's
drum up
interesting.
people
You'd
to
think
come
that
talk
people
to
would
public
use
comment.
but they're doing mailings now.
Well, apparently, no, we don't believe in representative democracy anymore. We believe in basically,
Well-
getting everybody to sort of come up in mass and basically kind of cow the elected officials.
But
to sort
what's
of
wrong with
go
that?
the
You can
crowd.
agree or not agree with it. At least people getting the mail. Some
Well-
people don't go on Facebook. Some people don't use social media.
True.
So I think they're trying to get their audience.
I mean, there's nothing illegal or anything about it. But the thing is that it does reward those who have the deeper pockets to go and cover these. Sort of
Well,
big
what
mailings.
else is new, Robert? Come
I know,
on.
I know. I'm not saying it's a brand new idea. I mean,
All
people
right.
have been running political campaigns this way since the beginning of time.
Use your own judgment.
But on single issues before the city council,
This
is a relatively
okay,
new phenomenon.
But Robert, the whole thing about affordable housing, which you hate,
No,
it's
no,
a single
no, no,
issue.
no, no.
You do.
I believe in the affordability of housing. Absolutely.
Okay, that's different. But this proposal,
nothing to do
this
with the
petition or whatever,
Right.
it is a single issue, but it is an issue that encompasses many things, and I think that's why there's such a pushback. And
Well, to whatever degree,
feedback,
when they
yeah.
were trying to do all these amendments to the overlay, where they were essentially
Oh.
trying to rewrite all of housing policy for the
I
city,
know that was
which
cra-
is sort of
what
the
was
wrong
it,
way to do
36
it.
What it was like 20
Well, if you add
hours
them
of
all up,
testimony.
right? But
Like they kept
again,
recessing the meeting.
which kind
so-
of almost proves that this was
Yeah.
not the right way to do a process.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they met last night, and what
you
did
mean the
they
city
decide?
council met
The
last
city
night.
council did meet
Regular
last night,
meeting.
right? So the though there were a lot of communications having to do with the garage, and it's definitely in the public.
But that
eye.
wasn't on the
But it was
agenda.
no, because it was part of the hearing for tomorrow,
Right.
and then
So you couldn't comment on
right.
that.
So that may very well be voted because this is more than just a hearing. It's a
Well, they're
it's
going
really-
to
it's a-
discuss it. The city council did
Yeah.
not get a chance to discuss it because there was so much public comment that
Right.
there was no time at 1 in the morning,
Right.
whatever it was.
Exactly,
midnight.
exactly.
Okay.
Right. All right, and then the cannabis, there was some
That's gonna
discussion
be-
about that
oh,
because
boy.
there was public comment
Yeah.
and it got heated again, right?
Yep.
The prior hearing actually ended they recessed it because honestly, I thought people were
Now,
actually going to come to
So
fisticuffs.
when was that? Because was that televised?
That's like sometime within the last month, maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that.
And it
Yeah,
got
was
really
tough.
bad?
It got really bad.
And it was an ordinance hearing, or was it a committee
It
hearing? What
was an
it?
ordinance committee hearing. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to
Yeah.
look at that, because
And,
I did not watch that.
the thing is, I'll just to point out the obvious.
Why did
Money
it get bad,
changes
though?
everything.
Yeah, but why did it get bad? Was it public comment, or was it discussion among
The
the
public
councilors?
comment got particularly heated. There
So
were
this was not, okay.
there were players from the revolutionary clinics, the marijuana
And the
supplier
the
crowd,
medical
the medical
marijuana crowd,
suppliers.
the
There was
empowerment crowd.
the economic empowerment people versus the social equity people.
Okay.
And basically,
Well, why are they? Oh, are they
Well, the
against
thing
each
is,
other? The economic
in some
empowerment?
respects they are. I mean,
What is the difference again? That's a hard one.
the social equity is really sort of to make up for what are perceived to be sins of the past because of the war of drugs, certain people based largely ethnically defined
But isn't it
being
like more
wronged and somehow
Okay.
disempowered.
But I thought that was economic empowerment.
No, economic empowerment is very much more specifically. I think there is also kind of a racial,
Okay,
ethnic,
but
or
it's people that do
socioeconomic
not have the
component.
funds or the capital
But it's
to.
but it's basically the little guys, giving
The
them
little
a
guys.
break to break in and be able to get in on the ground floor of this. Now the difficulty again, I don't think it's all about Central Square because I think some of the loudest and most annoying people at these hearings actually are not planning to open in Central Square. But the thing
really?
is that it's kind of inconceivable to imagine that you would have the revolutionary clinics, which is the medical marijuana dispensary, which will at some point or
Be in
another
the old Blockbuster.
become recreational as well.
And
the
that
old
is,
Blockbuster
they
site.
have a lease on that building, right?
But then there's also a social equity applicant that wants to take over the old Harvest space,
Right,
and then there's an economic empowerment.
is that the central kitchen
that
space?
wants
I know
to take
there's.
over the central kitchen space.
And do we need 3 places?
We don't
in
need
Central
3,
Square?
and I can't really imagine
my
that getting
goodness.
3 approved within spitting distance of each other.
No.
So therefore, there's a competition, and what that
Gosh.
means is that you have different people who want to make some money.
Yeah.
This is not. I mean,
call
no
it a
matter what they say,
billion-dollar
this
business
is
for
not
me.
all about public service. I mean, this
No,
is
it
about making some money.
It's right.
And some of it's great. Providing some jobs for some local. I think this would be wonderful. But the thing is, they are in competition. That's why things I think are heated. And the different various amendments, and I don't think we need to get into all the particulars. Tune in tomorrow at the hearing if you really want to. But
So in other words, I bet those are going
They
to be
favor
available.
some parties over
Will they be
others.
available in print probably at the hearing?
yeah, they're actually all already available. Yeah.
Who do you ask?
They actually had them available at the council meeting last night,
Oh, okay.
and part of the communication. So you can probably
So
pick them up
maybe
on
I'll
the city
go over
website.
there and try to
Yeah,
get
but the
them.
thing is that money really does change everything, and so
Yeah.
when people are basically competing over, the ability to actually get in on the ground
Yeah.
floor of what could potentially be something
Yes.
very lucrative, say, if you think the other guy's going to get an advantage over you, you start getting a little ticked, right? And that's kind of the issue. I don't know if any Solomonic wisdom is going to prevail here, where they're going to find some way
Is that King
that
Solomon?
yes.
Was he wise?
Well, they never did cut the baby in half as he proposed, right? But the thing is that he provided the wisdom and got all the parties to sort of come to a
Okay.
compromise. So,
All right.
is it possible to do that? Maybe, but honestly, if there's going to be 2 outlets opening in Central Square, but there are
No.
3 who want it, then somebody's going to go home unhappy ultimately.
So are you saying that, say the moratorium gets passed or whatever, that the Revolutionary Clinic could open their medical marijuana in that space but not recreational?
They're almost open now.
So
on
they
that.
can legally open their medical marijuana but not sell
Yeah.
recreational for 2 years?
That's one of the proposals.
And everyone's going to be
It's a-
confused
it's
and
a-
go
it's a-
there to get their recreational probably and then be
Right.
told, no, go across the street
Right.
or
yeah.
go next door,
Yeah.
wherever it ends up?
Exactly.
Oh my
Right,
goodness.
because we're not allowed to sell that. Even though we have a lot of marijuana in the store, we're not allowed to sell it.
I
Yeah.
may get me a
Yeah.
medical marijuana. I mean, I'm old. I'm sure I can get some condition. I'm serious. I
I'm
mean, not
gonna-
that I want to try it, but
I'll pass.
I'd like
on
to be
that.
legal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, that was wild. Now there were a lot of other things, some of which were also contentious.
Oh
at
my
this
goodness,
meeting.
yeah, I thought last night
One
was
thing,
very disturbing,
one thing
actually.
that I found about as interesting as watching paint dry
Uh-oh.
was the New Street self-storage overlay petition, actually second version. I believe it was actually originally introduced and
Third,
then
fourth, yeah.
allowed to just die and then get reintroduced. I think it's a fundamentally boring topic, quite honestly, but the thing is, whether we should allow a storage facility to be built or not.
Well, but can you explain, Nancy Glau did introduce this new language, contract zoning versus spot zoning.
Yeah.
And which is this?
I'm not the
I
best
know.
person, but the thing is
She
that the
seemed
way
to
I
know, yeah.
at least heuristically understand it is that,
Heuristically.
well, I mean, that's a math word.
You're so
Okay,
smart.
sorry. But the thing is that if you have, if you do zoning, like actually, I'll give an example of this right now.
Please. Yes.
If you sort of say, well, we're going to artificially push allowable densities down, but to force you to come to the table.
Is that called down zoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're going to cut a bargain so that if you
I
build
see.
either affordable housing or this, that, or the other thing here, then we'll let you do
We'll
what
allow
you
you
want
to do a little more.
So
Okay.
there's kind of an exchange going on.
And that goes on a lot.
It does tend to go
Yeah.
on, and it seems to be becoming kind of the norm. I think zoning originally, and maybe the world would be better this way, but it certainly would be simpler this way. Was really just sort of say, okay, you put your smokestack industries here, you put your kindergartens there, you
Put your rich people here.
put your, well, in some places, but I have yet to see any evidence that ever happened really in Cambridge. The thing is, there's a
all right,
correlation
okay,
because
you're right.
established
That's
neighborhoods of certain density was there, and then when
Yeah.
that's how it was, and then they
No, you're right
introduced
about
the
that.
zoning,
It
and
is
then-
more
and then they
true
just
in
said,
some
well,
other
okay.
places where they tried to
Yeah,
put
they just
public-
look and
yeah.
said, well, this is the low density stuff, this is the higher density
No, you're
stuff,
right.
this is the
There's more space
yeah,
or whatever.
and
yeah.
I don't think the color of law book. I
I
think
think it
there's
refers more to urban areas.
yeah.
Maybe
you
there's
can
truth
do
to that.
you can do some pretty simple internet searches. And you can see that zoning laws were abused horribly in a lot of
Yes,
places.
they were.
Once they were made available to cities and towns around the country.
Well, they didn't want multiple unit places in a lot of places.
Well, the thing is,
because
that's one of the
because it's
abuses.
attracting less.
Absolutely, that
it's
was
people
one
that
of the
don't have
abuses.
as much they have to rent.
They wouldn't allow
Okay,
subdivisions.
but that's happening
yeah.
a lot of places.
Right, that's happened right here. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I think the Cambridge story is a very different story, and so
Okay.
people are actually using things that were definitely true around other places in the country, and they just assigning it to say, see, Cambridge is terrible. I don't really think that's the
It's not the whole
story.
thing. No, okay. That makes sense.
I mean,
yeah.
if it's politically convenient for
Yeah.
you to promote that narrative, well, I'm sure people are doing that. It's as easy as ABC.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't think it's really a particularly valid thing. Now it's true that over time, people do tend to sort themselves out. People
Right.
of means tend to cluster. People
you stay
who
where you
couldn't get
stay
in
with
there,
what's
they tend to
familiar and
cluster.
what right you don't.
Yeah, sort of the more iffy neighborhoods tended to be the ones where the rents were lower too. So then
There are
that
no
helps
more
with-
iffy neighborhoods in
Well,
Cambridge.
then that's kind
you know,
of
the
been the
iffy slum neighborhoods are now $1 million
That's been the changing
condos.
thing.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's actually, and I do find it funny that some of the ritzy upper class West Cambridge neighborhoods were really where all the Cambridge firefighters and policemen went and found homes, because it wasn't
Well, like North
what-
Cambridge and
right.
stuff.
You know, so but now the neighborhood changed around them, but it
Well,
wasn't like
lucky
anybody
them if they
designed
had
these
those
as-
houses. And there are people that have had
Right.
their homes for 30 years or more, and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
God bless
Oh,
them.
yeah,
But some
yeah.
of them are just selling out because they can make a lot of money and
Right,
get
it's
out of
true.
Cambridge.
And then many of the people who do
Yeah.
sell out, who sold out, 5 years later they go, "Damn, why did I sell?" Because my property would have been worth 3 times as much now,
Well-
and I could be renting it out, and
Some
and
of them,
would have
but
worked out
some of them
better.
are retired happily somewhere else.
Well, I mean, I think the real phenomenon was for a lot of people in East Cambridge and a lot of other
Mm.
parts of Cambridge was that if you bought your house for $40,000
Which was the-
30,
yeah.
40 years ago, and then now somebody's sending you a letter saying, "I'll give you $2 million."
Yeah.
You go, "Whoa, I hit the lottery," and
Yeah.
you take the money, right?
And you go buy a condo somewhere cheaper than Cambridge.
And listen, my feeling about that
Yeah.
is that
I don't
if
blame
this
them.
this may not
Yeah.
be ideal, but people do take care of themselves, and I will
Right.
never fault somebody for taking care of themselves.
No.
So,
There are people
things
out there
change.
that can afford I'm only going to sell to someone that's going to do this or that, maybe. But that's rare.
Well, and
Let's
the-
face
and
it,
the other
most
thing-
people don't have that luxury
Right.
to say, I can do that with my money.
right. But
You know?
at one point, I continually try to make to people though is that the city made some decisions back 30 some odd years ago and
Mm-hmm.
more, when the manufacturing base of Cambridge pretty much
Mm-hmm.
vanished.
Yeah.
And you actually had, I remember, down in Boston, Woven Hose area, down around East
Mm-hmm.
Cambridge, Wellington, Harrington area, where there were bombed out looking buildings, and it was disinvestment
Yeah.
all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And Kendall Square pretty much got leveled, and by the redevelopment authority, and there was a decision made to actually promote life sciences, information
And boy,
sciences,
they got it.
the knowledge economy, and they did, and it changed Cambridge from a former
Yeah.
manufacturing city to a
To a tech-
thriving, high-tech,
that one.
well-educated,
Yeah.
and just as the people came to work in the factories 100
Yeah, they
years
came
ago,
to work in tech. That's true. It's
now
just
they're
a change
coming
of
to work
industry.
in the
Yeah.
tech. So, when people get up and bothered about the fact
Yeah.
that some people who have different incomes are pushing people out, I think, yeah, that's regrettable, and it's great if you can
But
do
this
some
is-
things to
it's
mitigate
the
it, but it's
economy's
all-
stupid.
It's also part of the
Yeah.
the changing nature of a
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
It's
true.
and so some of it you should just sort of say, well, that's the changing nature of this city. You don't just stop it. You work around it.
Mark Zuckerberg, is that right? Zuckerberg, right? Not Zuckerberg.
Mr.
I think
Facebook?
is what. Yeah, he has said that if Kendall Square had been developed like it has been, he would have had Facebook here. Maybe we're lucky.
Yeah.
Instead, no, seriously, because
No,
he
it's-
sees what happened here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, a lot of them are. Google has got big presence down there now. Microsoft, PayPal. I think Facebook is whatever.
Right.
But yeah.
But I think it's a good case can be made that the strongest amount of demand for housing around
Yes.
here is actually for the people who
Yes.
have some money and want it.
Yep.
And the thing is that if you
They're
accommodate
making
some of that,
three-digit
you're good.
salaries. Yeah.
And actually, get back to New Street for a little bit.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of people who need self-storage, so there is some need for
I know,
this
the
too.
only one commenter mentioned that we already had
Yeah.
a storage facility, but I'd like to tell you that when I needed self-storage, because of what happened to me, that I knew someone that was able to get me into it. It's in high demand.
It is in high demand.
And there's a lot of places there. So, you might
I
want
know.
to say it's people storing junk, but it isn't. Some people have a business
Right.
and they need to,
Yeah.
so
Well, and
I see the need for it.
There used to
And,
be the
you
Metropolitan
know- Oh, right, you
Storage
brought
Warehouse
that up.
down by MIT.
That's right.
And then MIT was repurposing that for other reasons, so
Yeah.
they had to clear it all out. So that was a big
Yeah.
loss.
No, and
And I know people who do Cambridge people doing their
Yeah.
self-storage in Everett.
I know that someone said, well,
Saying-
they can get in
yeah.
a car and they don't go to it very often. They can do
That's
that. Well,
right.
guess what?
That's
Maybe
right.
not, because I
So-
know people that were displaced from where I was had to go to those places, and they would have liked a lot more local option.
Yeah, so I personally, I wasn't
Yeah.
particularly thrilled with this new street zoning petition for a number of reasons.
Yeah, right.
But if you're just talking about saying, well, maybe
Yeah.
we do need to respond to the demand because there are people who do
And it's zoned for
want
it.
this
They
and do
can
that.
officially do that.
I think there was something that could have been worked out.
But did you hear about something that was given to the counselors, though? I didn't see it. Something with this big, massive structure that could
I
be
think they
built
were-
if they didn't do this. It was like a scared. Do you have it?
No, I don't. But the
Oh.
thing is, in the classic new tradition of let's scare the
No,
daylights
was
out
it
of
was
people.
it mailed to them or given to them
I don't-
at the meeting?
I don't know, but the thing is that
Yeah, it was
you
supposed
know,
to look like Darth Vader or something.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
Trying to scare
That's not
people
good.
into it wasn't going
That
to work
wasn't
anyway.
good.
Honestly, I didn't think that had the votes anyway, and the planning board voted
No,
it down as
it-
well. So
Well,
so
did they vote on it? I forgot. Or did it get?
they voted it. They voted on it.
Oh.
I think
Oh,
Mark
she-
McGovern wanted to table it to the following meeting so they could
Oh,
work out
right.
some details.
And people said,
So
"Why
it
bother?
seemed like,
we know what we know."
because George
They want-
Bacharach was the principal there, they will let's work something
Well,
out
they
with
wanted to
George,
get
right?
the other property owner. They wanted to
Right.
find out more information, and finally, so it did
Right.
get voted down.
Yeah, so
What
what
does that
happened?
mean?
So the thing is, there was
Can't refile it?
there was a motion on the floor to table, which failed on a 4-5 vote. And then I believe Jan Dever then I
She
moved the
voted
question
present?
on it, and it
No.
failed. It failed miserably,
Yeah.
with 2 votes in favor and 7 against.
So that means
And the only
that
2 who voted for it were Simmons and Toomey.
okay. So that means that we will probably get only storage unit now.
Probably true, but the thing is that the economic climate, is the settings of Cambridge, if there is something either housing, whatever, that's feasible and doable, and somebody can make a good project out of an adjacent project, parcel there, or
But
even
so,
on this
so
one.
basically
they'll
they're
come back
out,
with
they're
something
out
else.
a couple $100,000 because they've had the permits, there's paying for this, that.
Yeah.
But they don't actually own it, which that was
Right.
news to me. So
Right.
you know what?
Yeah.
Although he seemed to imply in
But
his testimony that he did own it. He said,
but-
we own the property.
But the thing I think
I'm
needs to be
confused.
pointed out
Yeah.
is, this is a moving target.
Yeah.
Nothing in Cambridge currently is static. So if
Yeah.
something gets blocked, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not going to say. But the thing is
Yeah.
if it stops right there, it's not like somebody's going to say, well, let's just abandon that property. No, I mean, something will come.
Well,
back.
yeah,
People will
but
say,
they
"Let's
want
do
it
something
all affordable, and they want just to start to buy it
Well,
outright, and they don't have the money.
else."
I mean, they would have, I don't
mean,
know. It's very confusing. It's very
this
confusing.
whole practice of saying, well, if we think we don't have the votes, we'll sweeten the deal by pasting on some affordable housing
Yeah,
units
but
onto
all right,
a
but
storage
I disagree with
facility.
you about that because Just to Start, who is a reliable player in the city, wasn't supportive of it because it would cost them less, these units, than it normally
Sure.
would.
So it would have been a bargain for them. It's true.
So,
Right. So the thing is, they would have.
it's 22 units.
they
It's
would've-
not to be sneezed at.
Right,
That's
but
all they're
they-
talking about in the
Right.
Sullivan Courthouse.
Right. Right. Well, listen. As
so-
far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
a better resolution for the Sullivan Courthouse
Yeah.
would have been to have Leggett McCall grab a chunk of money just to build not for 24, 50 units of affordable
Yeah.
housing at a not too far away place.
In other words,
And then
put it-
just
yeah.
basically
Yeah.
just go full office
Well, they'd have to
on the
get
building.
the property. Yeah.
But that was
okay.
actually done there to kind of sell it politically.
Yeah. Well,
The thing is that I think actually having those affordable housing units in the courthouse building is a little bit of a mismatch.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll work out, knock it out of the park, right? But it's still kind of a weird thing.
I
But
thought,
it's the deal on the table.
yeah, I
And
thought to have it
it's
where
better
a
than
New
everything
Street
ever
to
other
me
deal like that.
seemed a little better to me. I mean, I
New
think,
Street is an evolving street. I remember
yeah,
New Street was just a road
I always thought it was
to
like
the
an
dump.
alley.
was the
Frankly,
road
I
to the
just
dump.
used it to get to the
Right.
back of the Fresh Pond Mall. So yeah,
Yep.
do what
But
you
the-
can,
but
but I wouldn't
housing
personally want
is,
to live there. But you know,
old stuff is being replaced by housing there,
Yeah,
and maybe that'll.
you've got Bonnie's
continue.
Garden Centers over there. I don't know,
It'll
there's a lot of
continue,
different
so.
things.
Anyway, we'll
All
be
right,
back
well,
in a few minutes on
the next
Cambridge
segment.
Inside Out.